Today I'm here speaking to Tim McLean from Japan about how Tim uses the inquiry-based stress reduction process or technique in businesses in Japan. So welcome, Tim, and thank you for spending this time with me today.
Absolutely pleasure to do this. Really, thanks for asking me.
So would you be able to explain how you have been using inquiry-based stress reduction in workplaces in Japan?
Mm-hmm. Well, I have an institute for transpersonal psychology here in Japan, and it's more like applied psychology. And so we've been working with counselors and coaches and people in the helping professions for years. But for the last 15 years, I've also had quite a bit of work with people in business. And so then I began doing the work about 10 years ago and immediately started offering this to my business clients as well. So I've worked with boards of directors. I've worked with companies that are going through transitions and work in individuals and groups, do it with executive coaching. I have a very interesting client actually right now in a very large international Japanese-based company. And one of their chief executives is going through a tremendous amount of stress and trying to manage international teams, and he's kind of in over his head, but they don't want to give him counseling. So I'm able to use the work with him as a way of what I call inquiry-based leadership. So it's not counseling, it's inquiry. The answer is in the individual. So this is something that's very appealing to companies, that I can offer something that helps empower them. So also we've used it with in groups. It's been a lot of fun. Companies that feel stuck in their strategic way to move forward. I've used it with executive management teams, where we'll put up on the whiteboard, list up everything that's wrong with this company, or everything that's wrong with your client. Let's judge the client, right? I had a sales team at one time. It's like they don't understand our products. Our product doesn't have enough appeal, blah, blah, blah. So we do this in a group and say, our clients don't understand our product. Is it true? Turn it around. We don't understand our product. Oh, wow, I haven't really understood they do understand our products. Yes, this is what they've been telling us. So you do this in a sales team, and it's like, the reason that sales don't work, and all of this is the strategic planning part of it, is that I do this in individual coachings as well, is that they'll have a sales plan and sales quota, but it's what Katie calls the underworld. It's these underlying beliefs that undermine our best plans to move forward. So the work has given people a way. Actually, the best way to do it, I even do a short exercise with people in groups. List up 5 reasons why this project will fail, and then we go right to the turnarounds. So we don't have enough resources. Turn it around. We do have enough resources because boom, boom, boom. So as a strategic tool, as a way of clearing your mind, and I've got my executive clients. They judge their clients every time before they go into a meeting. I have them. They're now in the habit of judging your clients before you meet them and turning it around and going into these meetings with an open mind. So to just give you a more broader range, I've used it with, we'll do a retreat with, like, say, a board of directors, and we introduce the work to them. Also, I work with the Enneagram with personality types. So we'll do Actually, I use the work as a component of an overall package. And then I'll do individual coaching sessions with them after the retreat over a period of several months. But it's very important for the team to get the idea that our beliefs are limiting for us. And so when people hear about it in the group, some of the work that I do with them, it's like, it's a whole paradigm shift for the company. And I've really seen, I've really helped some companies that have been in some very difficult situations literally turn around the way that they manage things. So it's just been amazing in so many ways. So I don't know. That's my overall take on it. So
when you start working with new businesses or organizations, what are the sort of things that they might talk to you about that they're having difficulty with, where you see that this tool will actually be of benefit and help? Is there certain things that you hear them talk about that you understand and know from your own experience that this tool is useful for and works with?
Yeah, well, quite often I'm brought in when, let's say that I work with I work with an organization called the Young Presidents Organization, which is supports CEOs. So often you have a new CEO who comes in, and he's got the board is left over from a time before, and somebody who's, in fact, I wrote an article about this. And often, in other words, that the company is at a turning point, and that they need a new way of communicating and looking at what's been limiting up to this point and how to move forward when they're really stuck. And that's usually when I'm brought in, and the work has been the number one tool that I have found that really opens up people's mind, because you can have these kinds of strategies, but until the individuals themselves have a tool of self-reflection, the whole team becomes a self-reflecting team. So people are taking responsibility for their own stressful beliefs, and that's a huge relief. It keeps people from blaming each other. It's just remarkable, actually, in that sense. So most often, I'll be asked to come in when the company is at some kind of turning point, or like my most recent client, they'll have somebody on the executive management team who needs some executive individual coaching, and I'll use the work with them. So usually it's most often I'm working with executive management teams. We want to create a shared vision. All right, so to create a shared vision together, first of all, you need to identify those things that are against that, to look at the things that are holding you back from that. And actually, the most strategic thing for moving people forward is identifying what's going to go wrong with this project. That has been so much fun to do, and they like doing it. They like writing they like putting these things up on the board. Why is this going to fail? And then we take one and we do popcorn style, and it's just like it's so much fun. And so you get the collective group, and they learn how to collaborate in a totally different way.
And also, I guess that would also show where that no new stressful thoughts comes from. It's like there is that common understanding then that we're all pretty much thinking the same thing. No one's been willing to speak it out that way, and yet the thoughts are there, and everyone's thinking the same or similar sorts of things. So, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So that's what's been really cool is when we do it in a group. And oh man, I remember this. It's a very Japanese style. Oh, I really wanted to say this one thing, but we have the Japanese style. We have all the big bosses are in the back. Usually, I don't allow this in my workshop. That they had observers, right? All the big bosses and the president of the company are all sitting in the back, and then the GMs and other management people are in front. In other words, these are like the vice presidents and the head of departments and stuff, and then they got the lower guys who are doing the work, right? And the one GM, one of the big shots was like, I was in process working with one of the general managers, and he was having a hard time coming up with a turnaround, And the boss was like, well, you can think of this. And he was like, intervening. And so I said, well, how would you like to try it too? And I got him in there, and he was doing it, and he realized that, oh, it's not so easy. And and he had his own beliefs. And so it was really cool. And we drew them all in. And so in the course of a day, I got the observers to come in and do the work too. So that was really fun.
Yeah.
And you see that it is universal. And when somebody actually breaks the ice, that's what's so powerful about this. If someone is sincere in doing the work, everybody is affected by it in the room.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's so powerful that way.
Yeah. 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 And how have you measured the results with these businesses or organizations that you've worked with? How could you tell that it's been useful and worked? What's their feedback been?
Well, often what we'll do is we'll take assessments, and it's usually anecdotal over a range of questions. For example, how well are you dealing with stress? What are your relationships like? Your ability for planning and decision making. All of these different things that we'll take an assessment at the beginning, middle, and end of the period that I've worked with a client. And usually, sometimes clients will ask me to come in for an initial 3-day retreat, and then a follow-up for 3 to 6 months of individual coaching after that. So that's usually the period that I'm working with the company, and we do an assessment at the beginning, the middle, and the end.
And so you do notice the shift. People will express themselves shifts in noticing their own levels in relation to those questions.
Oh, absolutely. And, well, the thing that's amazing, also the other hallmark of my work is that we do work on business, family, and personal issues. In other words, I support leaders not only as in the business. So often in the private sessions, it's something at home that's affecting the person on the job. So all of my sessions are confidential, and in the group we only work on business issues, but individually we work on all those issues. So what's really been wonderful is that almost all of my clients say that the quote communication and inquiry skills that they learned in our training also helps them improve not only their business lives but their private lives too. So that comes out in the assessments also.
Yeah, I had an interesting discussion with Ernest on my last interview in relation to that difference between how we believe that we leave work at home, like when we leave home we go to work, and when we leave work we're going home, and yet that's not always the case. And so stress at work can often be driven by what's happening in our personal life, and that we do bring it with us, and it impacts on our working life and vice versa.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I teach them that, just like we learn with the work, that it's a practice, it's an ongoing practice, and that just, helping you to stay with an open mind is just improves every aspect of your life. So that's very gratifying. And then the companies, of course, want to be able to support their employees in that way as well. Yeah, so it extends.
And so how do you talk to the organizations initially about this tool that you have? I mean, I can hear that you have a package of tools, but do you ever talk to them specifically about this tool, and how do you talk to them? How would you describe this tool when you're talking to a brand new organization that you see as a problem that the tool could help with?
Well, I've been very fortunate that almost all of my work is recommended by word of mouth. In other words, that I'm recommended to people by other clients. It's like 90%. So in that sense, I have a lot of trust with my clients from the beginning.
Yeah.
So they trust that what I'm going to offer them is good. And if I say, try this, they say, oh, yes, we'll try it. So I have that. And for other clients who don't know me, I have a description of the work, and I have several articles that I've written. But I would say that this is a way of identifying and questioning the stressful thoughts that limit you, and that when you turn those thoughts around, you find real strategic answers. So this is a way of understanding the things that have been limiting you up to this point, and a way of really opening up your life and your business. Yeah, and often when I'm telling them about it, in fact, I had an interview with an executive recently. We started talking, and I had described what the work, these are 4 questions, and he became very interested. And I said, well, is there anything that's bothering you? And he says, yeah, my son is not adapting well to Japan. What's going on? So I did the work with him on his son, and oh, okay, well, yeah, this sounds great, and let's do that. And so often that's the way I draw people into it, is we actually do it.
Experience it. Yeah. I think I don't know that I have any more questions. I really appreciate your time today, Tim, and as I've mentioned before, this series of interviews is all about sharing how this inquiry-based stress reduction tool, also known as the work, is being used in workplaces around the world, and it is as a way of showcasing it with my aim in the long run is to hope that Australian businesses will pick up and understand how useful this tool might be. So,
yeah, it is so freeing, and it also just absolutely the creativity that it brings, because you're not coming from a place of fear. You're coming from a place of openness and sharing the work. It really promotes collaboration in the workplace too. So I really hope that people in Australia and everyone who sees this video has a chance to try it out.
Yeah.
So very happy to ask me to talk today.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.